¡Os voy a romper a pedazos!
Have you ever found yourself playing a game where all of a sudden they spoke in a language that you don't know, and they don't even have the decency to give you subtitles to understand a lick of what they're saying? Well then, welcome to What Are They Saying in...
Resident Evil 4.
I'm going to forewarn some of you, there is going to be a bit of swearing in this video, but this game is rated M for a reason. Now, I really don't know much Spanish myself, but thankfully my co-host Nick does. So take it away.
Now, it's worth mentioning that there are a lot of dialects, all derived from Castellano, the mother language. Think American English versus British English. So there may be differences in pronunciation and grammar. With that in mind, let's get rolling.
Coño, why am I the one who always gets the short end of the stick?
Starting off on a high note already, we've got our first F-bomb.
After walking for a moment, we meet the first villager, or ganados. Ganados is supposed to mean livestock or cattle, but it can be used in this context to mean a mob of people. Hey Nick, knock knock.
Who's there?
This guy who tries to kill you, but not before asking you.
¿Qué carajo estás haciendo aquí? ¡Lárgate, cabrón!
Well, you heard the man.
¡Os voy a romper a pedazos!
One other thing to mention is that Spanish has this thing where some curses or swears are kind of interchangeable. Carajo could mean hell, such as when you tell someone, vete al carajo, meaning go to hell. But it could also mean, go f*** yourself.
Later you come across these guys chilling up on a hill.
¡Un forastero! ¡Avisad a los demás! ¡Te cogí!
Crap, they obviously know we're coming. Let's see if we can get the drop on them.
Not gonna sugarcoat this one, folks. Mierda is shit. Poop, manure, droppings, excrement, you get the picture.
¡Eh! ¡Acá! ¡Ay, qué madre!
Now this is a bit of a weird one. Madre means mother, but think of it as, oh brother, you know, when you're exasperated.
Ah, por él.
This is another contextual one. When you say it in a derisive manner, it's basically like saying, oh, for the love of God. But when the villagers start chasing and yelling it at you, it means go after him.
¡Por allí! ¡No dejes que se escape! ¡Vayan por detrás! ¡Bloquéale el paso!
After engaging the villagers, they'll start spouting lines that range from helpful
¡Detrás de ti, imbécil!
to menacing.
¡Te voy a hacer picadillo!
Puedes correr, pero no puedes esconder.
Oh, la campana. Es hora de rezar. Tenemos que irnos.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Not too long after, we bump into this guy.
Me llamo Luis Serra.
He's pretty chill, and he used to be a cop.
Policía.
Police is just one of those words that stays the same in a lot of languages.
Police. Polizei. Police.
警察
Usually.
Te voy a matar.
And then he did.
Over here, stranger.
Ah yes, everyone's favorite out-of-place arms dealer, the merchant. The guy who will trade you weapons and gear for pesetas that you loot from enemies. Fun fact, pesetas are no longer the currency in Spain. They switched over to the euro in 2002. But this game takes place in 2004. What he's doing with the outdated currency? I don't know, maybe he wants to melt down all that gold.
¡Agárrenlo!
Well, we got caught. While a lot of lines were repeated, we came across new ones like...
¡Sos cerdo! ¡Basta, hijo de puta!
Let's fast forward a bit and get to the house.
Now in this scene the voices are pretty muffled, but what they're basically saying is this.
Hay un rumor, hay un extranjero entre nosotros. Nuestro jefe se cuidará de la rata. Si la plaga es mucho mejor que la nuestra.
Funny that they mention the village chief. I wonder where he... ¡Ay, me cago en la puta leche! By this point in the game, we find out about Los Iluminados, which means the illuminated or the enlightened. Probably the enlightened, though. They also mention Las Plagas, which are the famous parasite enemies of the game. Appropriate considering that Las Plagas means the parasite or the plague.
Now, the Los Luminados are led by one Osmond Saddler. Now, throughout the game, you've heard him be called a Lord.
Lord Saddler. Lord Saddler.
But here's the thing, there really isn't a word for Lord in Spanish. At least not in the sense of a title that you refer to someone as. The closest thing would be mi amo, which is a yield word for my owner. But obviously you had to be either a slave or servant working directly under the crown to use this title.
¡La encontré! ¡Maldito ¡Maldito sea! ¡Mierda!
Alright, now it's time to talk about the other kinds of creatures you can come across. One of the first bosses that you fight is called Del Lago, which means of or from the lake, as if to say, that creature that came from the lake. Next we have the wolf creatures called colmillos, which means fangs, which is strange considering that lobo is the Spanish word for wolf. Why they chose that over the obvious one is beyond me. Now let's talk big. Big like...
The big cheese.
What?
Well, not quite. I'm thinking more el gigante, which means the giant.
¡Rápido! ¡Rápido! ¡Usa los músculos! ¡Rápido! ¡Apúrense! ¡Ay! ¡Se vuelve loco! ¡Mierda!
Ow.
¡Vámonos!
Rightio, let's storm the castle. Now we deal with crazy cultists instead of crazy villagers.
That's not much better. Though we do get introduced to the owner of the castle.
Me llamo Ramon Salazar, the 8th Castellan of this magnificent architecture.
Go back to France, Napoleon.
But Napoleon is Corsican. Anyways, these guys have new lines that are a bit more sinister. They also chant this crazy line called Morir es vivir.
Morir es vivir. Morir es vivir. Morir es vivir.
Now, morir es vivir can technically mean either to die is to live, or to live is to die. It can kind of go both ways.
Allí están. Ya es hora de aplastar. No dejas que escape de la isla. Cogedlo, 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 cogedlo. Que sí, quiero matar. Cerebro, cerebro, cerebros. Muere, 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 muere.
Another enemy that appears in the castle is the Garrador, who doesn't actually speak, but his name means the Clawer, or Clawed. I don't know, it's kind of a weird translation, this one.
Do not dot the claw!
There are also these insect creatures in the sewers known as novistadors, which means no sight or the unseen, which is pretty apt since they can turn invisible. Little bastards.
Oh hey, it's Ashley. Now we've been largely ignoring her since there's no real lines associated with her specifically. So let's fix that. First we have to free her.
Oh, no.
Whoops. Right now we're actually playing as her, and this is actually a real neat part of the game. But there's one thing that's off.
Mátalo!
And even with my limited knowledge of Spanish, I actually figured out that's incorrect. What they should be saying is matala, because lo refers to a male.
Aw, I'm so proud of you. See, video games can teach you new things. This part of the game also introduces us to a new type of enemy. These suits of armor that come to life are known as armadura, which translates to armored. Apparently there are parasites controlling those suits, kinda like those horsehair parasites. Don't Google that unless you want nightmares. Finally, the last enemy to have a Spanish name is Ramon Salazar's bodyguard, or right hand.
I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
This guy's name is Verdugo, which means the executioner, and he certainly lives up to his name. He's fast, does a lot of damage, and is nearly impossible to kill. Nearly.
And that's about it for all the Spanish in Resident Evil 4. There are other enemies past the castle, but they're all saying variations of word or phrases we already went over. However, there are 2 villager phrases that are only heard through the bottle caps that you get from the merchant.
There's also one missing line that, despite our best efforts to find, I could not hear it in-game. Whether this line was cut from the final game is unknown, but here it is.
Quiero su cabeza.
Still, I had a blast replaying Resident Evil 4. I hope you learned something watching this video. It's always fun to learn a new language, even if most of it was stuff you probably shouldn't say out loud. If you'd like to see another video like this where we translate different languages, please let us know, or even suggest games for us to translate. We'll do our best.
But if you'd like to see another game review, we got that covered too. We should be coming out with a new one soon, but you can check out the ones we've already done. And if you're interested, subscribe for more. So this is DuelScreens saying take care.
We'll leave you with one last bit of Spanish. Take it away, Leon.
Hasta luego.